Hello, hello, hello. I don't know why I always introduce myself like Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello there, children. Have you been some good boys and girls? I don't know why I always do that. It's just one of them things that I do. So today we're going to be looking at some optimization work. I noticed while playing in VR that when you pour particles, it chugs. For lack of a better word, it kills the framework rate, especially in VR. I also noticed it in non-VR. So I was going to go and optimize some of this code, which is always fun. Get to use the profiler in Unity to work out where I've done dumb things. Half the time I want to get it working. What am I in? This is the wrong scene. I know it's got no lighting in this world. Rendering, lighting is clear. There we go. So basically I've got a bowl in here that should receive particles, and I have this animator, so the bowl won't actually be used for now. Let's get rid of that. And let's first look at getting the floor stuff working nice and speedy. So when you pour particles, in fact let's just run it. I've already done some work on this. It's slightly better than it was, but you can see that it shows on the surface and like remembers that you've poured flour. Then how we're doing that is there's an object. Why is the lighting like hating me? Open the lighting, fix the lighting, close the lighting, break the lighting. Let's just click auto generate and then it'll generate lighting. Yes, so when there is an object, an invisible object here that I can't move for some reason. What is happening? So there's an object here on the floor that I can't move because Unity hates me. That's invisible. Well, it's got a transparent texture applied to it, and then we hit test on that where the particles hit and draw onto a texture, and then that gives us the effect. So you'll see that there is this mounding material. It takes the color of the particle you want and a displacement texture. That's basically it. It's nothing super clever. And this is our primary script. So you can also enable height adjusting, which once Visual Studio is opened, and lets me click, you'll see it starts to go up in a lump. So it looks less flat. The problem there is that when you're in the actual kitchen and you put your hands through it, it looks a bit dumb. That's mainly only used in the bowl. That also being said, I could try and make it smarter. You can see under it and stuff. That's why it looks dumb. If we change the height to be more central, I guess, maybe we'd get away with that. And down here you can see a preview because the materials are down. So the first bit of, let me turn that off before I forget. The first bit of optimization work I did was, previously I was calling get pixel and set pixel from the texture directly, which is really, really slow. So what I've done is I've made a secondary map that could be improved. A secondary map called writable map, which is where I want to do the writing to. Which is just a straight up array of colors, and then we can just call set pixels, and we set the entire map as one, so that we're not reading and writing to the texture, we're reading and writing to a block of memory, and then we just blob that into the texture. So another thing I was thinking about doing was doing something like this, and then we only update the actual live texture if we change something. If not, we're going to be writing to a texture when we don't need to. Change that to return a bool. And this loop here is basically the really expensive bit. I'm just going to put true in there for now. Well, I'm not going to write true, I'm going to write Turing. Apparently. Right. So we need to work out if the colour we got here was modified. This is also pretty expensive. So the math min is expensive. I'm also using colour 32s. I'm wondering if I should drop to colour. That'll mean it's a float and I don't have to do these weird casts. And the other bit that's expensive is this percent and cos. I'm basically drawing a circle. So when the particle hits, I draw a circle to try and like make it splat out. Which means I'm having to calculate a circle, and I'm calculating a circle accurately. What I'm thinking is there's a set size that something can be. So add mound takes a mound scale and a particle mound size. So I kind of know how possibly big a circle can be. So I could pre-compute all these XP and YP. So I could have a, for a circle size 0, circle size 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and all the way up, I don't know, and I think the maximum size is like 8, but I could go up to like 32 and just pre-compute them. And then when we come in here and say I want to draw a circle of this size, I've already got the coordinates and I can just spin through them. That'll massively speed it up as well. So let's start by making this a map of colours, presuming. There's also some risk here that I've now introduced. Because this is a public member, you could change it during runtime, and that would mean that the size of the texture, in fact, the size of the actual texture and the texture size variable would be different, which could cause problems, because in set map, I got completely lost there, we use texture size. I'm going to get rid of this target stuff. Change that to a colour. And obviously here we're having to calculate the offset into the array rather than normally you say X and Y. So you'd have, pixel 0, 0 being the top left, for example. Now I've had to work out, because I've got a flat array, we know that pixel 1 on the second row, or pixel 0, sorry, in the second row, will be, you'll have first had to compass the entire texture width once, plus the offset onto the next row. So we can take Y, which is how many rows down, times by the width of the texture plus the offset, which gives us the index into the buffer. That can go, that can go. Colour is now a colour. So the only bit that's changed now is set pixels. Needs to take set pixels, and that was called set pixels. Yeah, so here I kind of just want to. It seems excessive to spin through every single thing. I just kind of want to make. So this is length. So I just want to make a new array that size and write to it. So is it in? I can do a repeat that many times, and we can take color.clear, and if we to array that, so the problem there is I'm now generating garbage, whereas before I was rewriting to the same variable. Yeah, maybe I'm better off leaving it as it was. Before I forget as well, I'm going to grab an int and active texture size. And then, so basically, if I do forget and whoops, and I start messing around with this public variable in Unity, I won't crash if we use that everywhere instead. That doesn't take that anymore. Oops. Yeah, this is also a really slow method that needs making less rubbish. Blah 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 blah. Right, so now we need to actually work out if we were updated. So we know we're updated if this method is called, and the colour we pass in for XPYP is different to the original colour. So that's true if, let's unbreak that. That's true if either of these wrote new values. So let's write a little helper method. Color R and then new R. Move these into here. That seems massively excessive, doesn't it? If color R not equal to new R. So the problem there is that we're using floats and float comparisons. Like something can be 0.9999 and 1, and they're pretty much the same. So what we can do is, which also makes it more expensive. To be fair, this is always going to write unless mound strength is 0. No, even then. Minus, or mound fade is 0, or I is 0. Okay, so it writes quite a lot. I was trying to work out if we could find the conditions. I think we could do. It also gets clamped to 0. So if clamped to 1. Yeah, let's. It's because doing all this is going to be more expensive than just not writing. So if we get to here, why can't I type today? And the same's true here. So if it's not yet 1, we're writing to it. And then anything updated. And if we've called that, then something was updated. Yeah, that needs to be an R equals. Okay. And that should mean we're now only writing back to the destination map if something's actually changed. Now what I've messed up here with is I didn't run a profile before I wrote that. So now I have no idea if it's better or worse. So I'm probably going to have to run it and have to normally have a profile on a different window. Let's put this baby one in. Can I remove some of these? Because it's kind of annoying. I don't actually know what the time complexity was. This is more of a only updating when needing to update. The time complexity will more come into when removing this loop, which is what it kind of depends. Yeah, like we're not removing time complexity really. It's more of a we're not doing a memory copy to a GPU target. To be fair, we can. I put that in the wrong window. We still got spikes here. Let's clear that and go again. Turn that on. We don't want the timeline, we want the hierarchical view. It's going to be this guy that wrecks us. So it's this method, annoyingly, without turning on deep profiling, I'm not going to get the information I need. It's also interesting that we're generating garbage. I wonder what the allocation is there. On particle collision. That won't generate, that won't generate. That's writing into an existing target. Oh, we generate array. Oh, isn't that a struct type there? Yeah, so that shouldn't generate garbage. That'd get written onto the stack, right? Interesting. I wonder what that is. Anyway, without my change, basically it would be doing that every single time. I wonder if it's worth seeing if we ever skip it. Because maybe that code doesn't do anything. So the main change here was to go to writing to our own target and then copying in bulk rather than setting a pixel at a time. Previously we were getting like less than 10 FPS and we're already up to 100 and looking at script time only, which is all I kind of care about. We're already up to what, 150? So it's 15 times faster to obviously copy in bulk rather than copying one at a time. So I want to see if... Oh, there we go. Nothing changed. But the more observant of you may have noticed that it's now not working. Why is the... What's going on with the clip plane? Anyway. Yeah, it's now broken. What have I done, silly? Put a breakpoint in here. Oh, I did a silly. Oh, don't do that, please. We never set color changed when we set the alpha, and because this isn't setting height adjustment, this code will never happen anyway because that's false. There we go. Okay, we're writing to the map again. And I would imagine now we start. Did I delete that? Right, so that's working again. Ooh, but we never get to skip. That's interesting. So what I would have expected to happen is eventually we'd get to a point where we're no longer updating because we've already like set the value in the color change is set per loop. And that's set per call. Okay, so this isn't going to work because it doesn't help that I haven't been in this code for ages. Mound strength is probably going to be. We're going to get to the point where we're never going to actually reach one. This is more of a please don't ever go above 1 because it isn't valid to have a color higher than 1 unless you're doing HDR. Whereas I was assuming that was the point where we'd completed. That's just a failsafe of please don't ever do this. So it is going to have to be a comparison. Which is a little lame, isn't it? I guess we could see if that's greater than 0. So this is going to be alpha increment. If alpha increment is greater than 0, then we're going to have changed. Shouldn't ever be negative. And that gets rid of an expensive absolute comparison on floats. Writing. I'm still surprised that's always happening. It's just a tiny, tiny number. And technically, it's if any pixel is changed. I mean, I could set a tolerance on it, but it seems a little lame as well. Yeah, it's just a little baby now. Oh. Let's just try setting a tolerance on it to what, like 0.01, just to see if it does actually do anything. do we still actually write to the texture, or have I just completely broken it? I keep falling down in my chair again. Sorry. Yeah, so that's skipping, but I don't think we're ever writing now. I think that's the right thing to do. Same goes for here. I could also change this by not having a, at the moment I've got a ARGB 32-bit texture. I'm only actually using 2 channels, so we could improve this. Okay, so the next main thing is to get rid of these 2 loops. That's a constant. That expression's constant. Oh, we use I plus 1. I'm trying to remember what this does. That's second, the inner loop's the point around the circle, and the outer loop is the radius, I believe. Which I don't think is the correct maths anyway, is it? This bit here seems like bullshit. Bullshit. Surely that should be a constant. Or is that a half-assed attempt at an optimization to the further out you get, the bigger jumps you get? So rather than doing a smooth, I don't know, like trying to draw this, like a smooth circle around, I've got paint. Yeah, so the first one is your radius. So we start at 0. Which doesn't make sense. Well, that's suboptimal anyway. Maybe I was just drunk when I wrote this code. So we start with a radius of 0, which means we go to the center and just draw a point. But because what's 2 times pi? 6.3-ish. Then we're going to sit in here for how many loops? Because it's going to go 1 divided by 0 plus 1, which is 1. So we're going to sit here 6 times, getting the same pixel. And writing it, being like, yo, 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 yo. Then we'll come around again, and we'll go to, so we're doing size times 2, apparently. Let's say it's a size 2, and then we'll go out a bit, and then go like that. But then when we go out again, we take bigger jumps, and we go out again. So you end up with like a splat map. I don't really know what I want. Whee! Now I'm just drawing. Yeah, this loop just generally seems bad. I think what I'd be better off doing is having a size and then have some predefined points. So obviously we'd have to do origin, but this bit here, the plus I cos stuff, we just pre-go. These are your offsets. Take the origin. This is your size. These are the 40 points you want. Go round. So if we can pre-compute all that, it gets rid of all this maths. Most importantly, the sine and cos calculations. So let's comment that out for now. So what is size? I think I want to treat size as an int at the end. So let's call it size index. let's cast a size to an inch. Is casting the right thing to do? We'll always go down. So if it's 4.8, would we expect it 5? Let's do that for now. And what I'll do is I'll make a dictionary here, and then we'll move into a private variable in a minute. Size calculation offsets. If I could spell dictionary, we'd probably be in a much better place. And then we just kind of want an array of vector 2s. So for the sake of argument, and to make my life easier, size is 1. So what we'll do is, one thing we'll do is, if size index equals 0, then we're not going to draw anything. And then obviously once this comes in, we'll be better. Wait, thank you for the follow. So close to that 50, so close. Hope you're doing alright on this wonderful Saturday morning. How did it get to 10 o'clock already? Yeah, where were we? So there'll never be that, but then I'll write a method of like calculate offsets for size. As I said, this will obviously be in fact this would probably be in a for loop. Ooh. And then what, like, I'm pretty sure there can only be 8, so let's go to 32. And then we do something like that. Have I spelled calculate terribly wrong? Calculate. I have. Again, this bit here will be, I'll store this in a member and I'll initialize this on the script start rather than doing it here. This is just a test, so all my code's in one place and I can see what I'm doing and you guys can see what I'm attempting to do. So if we did not manage to get the offsets, so if not try get value. To be fair, this is literally an array, isn't it? We could... Oh, I've just hurt my brain. No, we'll leave it as a dictionary for now. That can be improved. Let's get it working before optimizing an optimization and giving myself a nosebleed. So if we didn't get anything for that, then that's bad. Fail to get size offsets for size. I should really upgrade this project to use the new .NET thing, then we can use fancy language features. But for now, it will be lame. Size index is what I want. And then, we can just go for each that offset, and then we just take this bit of code. I'm still going to leave it commented out just in case this doesn't work and I need to undo things. Like below, I'm obviously going to comment this one or else it won't do anything. That'd be pretty pointless. And then here we can get rid of all that and just go offset.x, offset.y. So we've now moved this dual loop with a cos and sine in it to a flat thing. So if I is less than size, I don't know what that means. What is size? I is always going to be less than size. Oh, no it's not. Because we did size times 2. So half the time it is not. Let's comment that out. I don't think this logic's correct anyway. I don't think any of this writing incremented colours is correct. So let's scrap all that as well. Let's rewrite everything. And let's just do colour A is how much you see, colour R is how offset it is in the local z-axis. So if we just do colour A equals what, like 0.01. This needs changing. I don't want to use math min, and then let's add that back in to make it not complain at me. If colour A is less than 1, then colour changed is true. Move that into there. And then we need to write this method. Yeah, that'll come in a bit. Let's go above because I can't see what I'm doing. So we're going to make something that returns an array of vector 2's for a given, I guess this is radius? Radius. That's Japanese for radius if you didn't know. It's not. 100% not. I can't even speak English, never mind another language. That's going to tell me I can use an inline outvar, but I can't because Unity doesn't support that yet. So offsets is a new vector 2 array with size radius, and then we can return offsets. Now I just need to populate that. What might be easier actually is to, although it causes a little more garbage collection, is to create a list of them and then do a 2 array at the end. That's just going to be an empty array is what it's complaining about. So now I need to do kind of, in quotes, kind of this maths, but not quite this maths. So we want to go around in a circle. Whee! So let's start with the circle bit. So for so A, so let's go for, call it alpha. It tends to be what you use as a variable name for calculating about a circle. I don't know why. Maybe you don't. That's something I picked up from high school many moons ago. And then math.pi is half a circle, isn't it? So we want to do 2 times math.pi. There's not pi 2, is there? That'd have made my life easier. No pi 2. And then we want to increase by an amount. I don't know how much. Let's pick a number out of our backsides. How many points around a circle do we want? I suppose we could do like a nice I don't know what to call it. Pi points? Let's just call it pi points for lack of a better name. So if I times that by 2 again. So that would now mean we do 1 point. So if I do that, we do 10 points, right? So now we're going to go around 10 points. Let's just add these for now. No, offset X, offset Y. So let's not bother about radius at the moment. In fact, this will just mean that we're going to end up with like 20 points on top of each other because we're not offsetting in a radius. We're just going to Let's not worry about it, guys. It's a proof of concept. This might be exponentially slower. We're going to add a new vector 2 of OX, OY, where OX and OY... Alexa, stop. No one said your name. I asked, she's trying to explain OX by OY. It's not going to end well for her. She said it's tough to explain. It is tough to explain. She should try live streaming. I could be talking rubbish, and you guys could be PhD professionals. A PhD professional. See, that's how good I am. Doctor, you could be Dr. Radius. I don't know. Okay, so let's add a radius because we kind of want to. Oh yeah. Ooh, I just had a good idea, and I almost jizzed. We just want to add. So then you've got 1 point right in the middle, and then when we do our radius, we start at 1. Boom, genius. And then that wants to be like target radius. Yeah. And while radius is less than target radius, we want to increment radius. And then do radius times that, I think. And that will give us some offsets. So let's size offsets. Let's go make this a member. So this bit wants to go, and that wants to be that. And then up here in start, I'm going to call that that. And we want to make a private member of them. I should put a comment in that. This code's all going to get rewritten. Let's be honest. I'm wondering if we should do radius 0. Like, if you want a size of 0, is it just a single point? Or why have I just clicked build? That's not how Unity works. We'll skip 0 for now. I'm thinking too much about thinking. Did I attach the debugger? I can't remember. I did. I always forget this exists as well. You can just go like attach and play, right? And it'll just work. If you click the button. If you don't click the button, it doesn't work. It's not sentient yet. They're working on it. I hear VS 2021 will have it in. Don't quote me on that. I have no idea what's in 2021. So we're going to go into this, and we want to make a radius of 1. So we're going to say our radius is do diddly squat. It needs to be less than or equal. Let's not worry about that. So we've got 1 point for 1. In fact, maybe that's right. If you make a circle of radius 1, I just want 1 point. This one should actually do something. We got 11 points. Do they look logical to go around a circle? In the middle, to the right, up a bit more, to the left a bit. I mean, they look like numbers. And we got a lot of them. How big's the last one? 301 points. Hopefully we'll never get to that. I don't think we would get a circle that big. One way to find out is to put a breakpoint here. Question mark. It would have been 4. I've written. We've only got 1. Is that in texture space? Probably. So this should be drawing a very tiny baby trail. Here it is. That actually looks alright with just 1 sample point, doesn't it? I suppose because I'm using such a big area and I'm using a 256 by 256 texture, there isn't much detail there. That's going to be super fast though, isn't it? Yeah. Look at that, it's 10 times faster because we're doing literally no work. So that's what we've learned today, guys. If you don't do any work, it's really quick. Okay, let's see how much it explodes if we do this. Let it build, let it build. Let's never do that again. Okay. Look at that, we're still running around 1000 FPS. We were at 150 before, people remember that? And it looks the same. In fact, it might even look better. It looks more round, doesn't it? I've got more sample points than before. So look at these edges now. Ooh, look at the curve. Looks like a curve, and like here. Ooh, curve. I hope everyone's as excited as I am. So now we just have to make it so this button works again. It is still interesting how much garbage is being generated. That's not me. That's something else. We're okay. I mean, script time now. Oh, it's magnificent, guys. I can't even talk. I am really interested to know what's allocating at 72. Let's run a deep profile. We're going deep, boys. It's because if we can stop it allocating 72 bytes a frame, it's 72 bytes, isn't it? You know what you could buy for 72 bytes? A speedboat. That's what I've heard. You have to wait a bit for this to actually work out what the hell's going on. There we go. You can see when there's a massive lag is when it goes, oh, I'll start profiling, shall I? And then let it run a bit. Let it normalize. And then stop. And now we should get a pop-up saying it's processing? No. Did that do a deep boik? Oh yeah, it did do a deep boik. So the allocation is 72 bytes. Where do we allocate? Here. Enumerable.ne. Did we use a .ne in here? There we go. It's I thought Unity had fixed that. So I'm using .ne, which is causing an allocation. given that it's an absolute type, so what you wouldn't want to do is if you were, I mean, you could do that. Doing that is bad because that's a link expression version of count, which means what it's going to do is it's going to make a new enumerable, which you've already seen causes an allocation, but then it will go through and count every element, so it'll iterate the array. So if it's massive, obviously it has to go through each one to get a count, and then it returns that. Whereas any will go allocate an enumerable. Okay, that's bad, we've learned that. Again, I don't think that's a thing in C# in like the latest version of .NET. I think that's a Unity thing. It's boxing it for some reason. Anyway, any will go create a new enumerable and move once. If it moves once, then it has one item, so it knows there are some, and thus any. So it will break out, and it'll only do do one check rather than iterating the entire thing, which is faster. Because it's a list, I think it's a list. Is it a list? Yeah. We have count already, which will be pre-calculated and cached. So we should have used that anyway. That was me being silly. I do like any. To me it's cleaner when you're reading. You know, like if there are any of these is what you mean, rather than if it's not 0. Alright, let's double check that allocation's gone away. And then we'll use the deep profile again just to see what parts of our update are still expensive. I don't know if this is a thing in the latest version of Unity as well, is that this stall before we actually get to see the profile only on a deep profile is new. It used to be instant, or it used to pre-lag maybe. Okay, pick a random point. Yeah, so you can see the allocation we had before has now gone, which is good. And most of our work is in add-mount and raycast. The raycast constructor is interesting. Just looking at things that we could potentially move and get rid of. Obviously the texture set pixels we can't get rid of. Yeah, so ooh. There's an implicit operation here. I should check where that's happening. Something's being cast to a color 32. That's pointless. The try get value. So this is because I'm using a dictionary and looking up into it. But I'm using an index as a dictionary, so I might just be able to make an array of them. I guess it's an array of an array. And then it's just an index rather than a lookup, which we'll get rid of that call. Nothing I can really do here. It's reading into an array. There's literally nothing on that call I can get rid of. I guess we could check to see if we've already set that pixel. If we've already set the pixel and there's no point in getting it or attempting to read it, we've already done that one. We could put a skip on it, which might move some. I doubt we would though. It's just the fact it's called 5,000 times. The raycast, I don't think we can get rid of. So the raycast happens because we need to get the. So when the particle collides with the object, we cast a ray from where they hit down towards the object that you hit, and then that gives us a texture coordinate. I don't know how to calculate the texture coordinate of an intersection from world space to local space without doing that, and I would imagine me calculating it would probably be more expensive than however the clever people at Unity are doing it. One thing we can do, I don't know if this will make one bit of difference, is particle intersection ray. is we can just make that and then just set its origin and direction. So we just reuse this one object. The other bit that's expensive, I say expensive, the other bit that happens is doing that, because getting transform, I believe that means you have to copy it from the C++ side to the C# side to do the comparison in Unity. Which, I mean, it's fast, but it's an overhead. And it's kind of a safety check. I don't know if that'd ever not happen. I mean, it's we'll leave it in. I don't think it's that much of an issue. So the bit that we wanted to change was, I don't think we care about rounding. Trying to see what the hell I'm doing here. Let's do that. We should probably do that earlier, and then we don't have to do any of this gubbins. So here, what I'm thinking is, if we change size offsets to, and do I want an array of arrays or a multi-dimensional array? Maybe an array of arrays? Array? I can't even. Normally, if you start doing arrays of arrays, you're doing something wrong. You have to specify the size, don't you? I can't make them anonymous. Array size, so it's gonna be 32, but then I don't know how big the second one is. Okay, that's alright apparently. And then it needs to be to calculate -1. Whoops, that's not a 1. Because arrays are 0 indexed, we don't want to mess around with that. So then we have down here, we can just go size index -1, and there's no lookup. Something we can check is if size index is greater than that. Yeah, then we don't want to. So that's if we're reading past the end of the array, we would just log an error and don't draw anything. I don't think that'll ever happen. As I say, I think the maximum radius we ever get is 8, and I'm doing 32. There's a little overhead there. We could probably fine tune this. Oh, it's sorry, I'm thinking Ray is a class type. It's a struct, so we don't need to initialize that. We're not using that anymore. We probably should look at using some of these again. We're not using link anymore. We're not using system. We're not. Why would we ever be using the UI? I didn't like that logic. I didn't like any of this logic, so we'll get rid of it so I don't be tempted. So I am not tempted to reuse it. Let's move that method up because it's a public method. Like that. Okay, I think that's about it. I think that's probably as optimal as we're going to get it. We'll run another deep profile on it. And then run a normal profile and see where we're at. So before, I should have probably been saving these out. We had the raycast. I don't know if we could set like a maximum range, because it's going to be like within a millimeter. You see what I mean? Get transform. There is overhead there. That should be gone now. Oh, there was a thingamabob, wasn't there? A colour 32 op. Ooh. Tiny little typo. So it was implicitly casting a colour to a colour 32. A colour in Unity is 0 to 1 floating point. Colour 32 is 0 to 255 byte. And it was just casting. So it would have been casting from the colour to the colour 32, and then when we did the assignment back, it would have been doing the inverse cast. Okay. Right. We're pretty smooth as well there, really. I mean, there's peaks and troughs, but nothing crazy. So that takes 0 time. I'm on the wrong one. So we want to make sure that colour 32 cast is gone, which it has. Add mount's pretty minimal now. There's still the min test, although that's taking 0 time, isn't it? Random range. I mean, we could populate an array with random ranges and then just index into that. But the main cost is get map pixel. It's again minimal. Not really anything we can do about that I can think of off the top of my head. You could have multiple buffers, and no, you couldn't. I'll be quiet. Yeah, I think that's pretty much as fast as we can go. I'm more happy that we got rid of the allocations. So we're allocating what, 2.6k in a frame. Yeah, that's rendering to an image, I guess. Yeah, that's copying. There's not much we can do about that. Wow, it's all allocated in here. In time update? What is this doing? I hope that's a debug only thing. We'll look at that in a second, because that seems dumb. I'm presuming that's a debug only thing. Dear Christ, it best be. Right, let's turn off the deep profile. Before, so when we first ran this, we were running about 60 frames a second. We got up to about 150 with a few simple changes. Mainly changing it so that we copy all pixels in one go rather than reading and writing on the fly. Then by only updating when we need to update, and by changing the logic to calculate how to draw a circle into pre-calculated data. We're now, I mean, It's just over a millisecond. I don't really think there's anything else we can do there. The only thing we've got to do now is make it work again. So I've broken the bowl logic. Oh, we could do a memory change as well. I'll get the bowl working again so that we can get this submitted and not keep changing things over and over. Can I move this camera so I can actually see shit? Main camera. But it's so bright. Oh, bad thing happened. How is that wrong? Annoyingly, it just says index was out of the bounds. It doesn't tell you if it was greater than or less than. It could be that we've asked for a texture at like -10. -10 is not a very good number. We might need to do some clamping here. In fact, I'm gonna move the clamping outside of this, but I just want to make sure this is the actual issue. So if it is greater than writable map length, is it greater than or equal? It's that one, isn't it? And attach and play. Boop. Yeah, there we go. We're asking for... Oh, did that not build? What? How is... 0 plus 0 is 0. This hasn't built. So if you're using the attach and play button, do I have to click build first? And then go. Hello? This is Urban calling. Why are we not playing? Thinking about it? There we go. Index -48. Yeah, we're trying to get -2. So origin is 16. So if XP is less than 0, or YP is less than 0, or XP is greater than texture width, or YP is greater than texture width, don't. Don't. Simply no. Just don't. So if XP is less than 0, I got a new keyboard, which is why I can't type, or YP is less than 0, continue. If XP is greater than actual texture size, greater than or equal to, or YP is greater than or equal to actual texture size, continue. Clear, save. Shouldn't need to attach now. Doesn't explode anymore. However, because I haven't attached, I don't actually know. presume this is getting hit. Why am I not visibly seeing anything? Or is it because I've got height adjustment on and I aren't setting the R value? That's probably it. Let's try doing that. Why is that not doing anything? What's the difference between that and that? Nothing now. They are identical. We're going to get back down to 32 because by making it 256, the points that we're going to be colouring are going to be tiny. I can't tell if that picture's had anything written to it. I don't think it has. That's really weird, isn't it? Like if I turn back mover on, click animate, then we can see that it does stuff. And then if we go look at particle mound, you can see we're drawing to this texture. I turn back mover off. Did it put it back where it was? Or is it just no, it just makes it stand still. Joy. Let's turn that one off and then hit run back mover is disabled. So we should hit this guy. So we should be going into this loop. Yeah. Where's he getting 16 from? 16 is a big ass number, isn't it? I'm gonna get rid of this origin offset crap. So this was just to like splatter it around, so we add some randomness to it. But I mean, arbitrary -5 to 5 doesn't really make sense because it needs to depend on the texture size. So let's just do it that wherever the particle collides is where we draw things. Let's move this method down so I can see the stuff that I need easier. Shouldn't need to do that anymore. Mound scaler. What's a mound scaler in its own? 4. Doesn't seem to be writing anything there. Interesting. It's all good doing optimizations, but when you break everything, it's less than ideal, I'll be honest. My worry is that this has just never worked in this demo scene, in which case I'm wasting time. We're writing things. "700 particle collisions? What the Jeebus?" Oh, that's a typo. There we go, we've got it. That should be a continue, not a return. So that was saying if the thing that we've raycast into to work out the texture coordinate is not the thing we've collided with, don't update any more particles, rather than going, oh, ignore this particle, it's balls. There we go. That looks like we're drawing to it. Although it's tiny. Tiny little baby. We have actually drawn crap on it. It looks epically wrong. All I want to do, right, is draw a circle on a texture at a given point. You'd think that'd be really easy, wouldn't you? You'd hope that'd be really easy. Apparently it's not. It's drawing things, but it's tiny now. Interesting. It's not that that's not changing, is it? We should just be overplaying to the instance. Yeah, that shouldn't make any difference. Oh, it did. Oh, did anyone see the particles that it made then? It made like snowflakes. Look at that. So by making it convex, duh, so when you make it convex it's making a new mesh and then the text coordinates don't map up. Look at that. It's bloody beautiful. Right, and then we set that back down at 32. And hopefully, look at that, boom, flower in a bowl. Okay, we fix things, ish. So what I want now is I want it to go like that, just like that, with that noise. At some point I'll make a nicely shaped thing as well, probably basically a bowl. The problem is it has to be, oh no, convex is, yeah, non-convex is fine. It's fine. Yeah, that seems to be working. So now to get the height working, blah 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 blah. Down here we say if adjust height and color.a is less than 1. This logic's gonna have to be massive. And that'll mean it'll go up. Problem is it's going to move up uniformly. We need it to mound, not just offset. So you got to think that like at the edges we don't want it to do that. So it should have gone up in the air. If I'd have turned on the property, I haven't though, so it did the exact same thing as it did last time because I'm a spoon. You should see it raise up, yeah, but you see how it all raises up. You raise me up. God, this is hard to see, isn't it? I'm trying to get a nice angle, guys. Yeah, that might work. I thought just move my camera. It's so bright. Why has it gone so bright? Yeah, you see how it goes up? Such a good... It does look cool, and now it runs fast. It makes me happy. I just need to make... It's very peaky still. But now we should be able to improve that just by changing the calculate offsets. So I think we need... This needs to be smaller depending on the radius. Which is what I was doing before to make it smoother. Because if not, you end up with just spikes. Can I like slow this down somehow? I guess if I change the mound scaler to like 1. I'm not using mound strength, am I? Yeah, that's already better. Smoother. Maybe squared would be better. Be nice to like take these points and draw them to a texture, and just so I can see them. See what shape I'm actually generating, because I'm just presuming and then guessing. Yeah, that's definitely more of a circle. Like it goes up like a what not to do on stream, tosh his fucking head off. It goes up in more of a pointed shape. Yes, it's just a displacement shader. You can woo. Should also displace less for the flower. It'd look dumb. And then by lowering the tessellation, you can also, because obviously there's less vertices for it to move up and down. You get nicer looking. Okay, that looks cool. Now I just need to do the edge dipping. Edge dipping? That also sounds like a sexual thing, doesn't it? Ooh, have you heard about Jenny? She's been edge dipping again. You've also only got 5 minutes, and then I need to go. Which might make this a little awkward. So let's put some to-dos on this. Do I want to fade to the edge? No, I don't want to fade to the... well... So what I was thinking was the further out you get, the less alpha gets applied, so you end up with like a stronger part in the middle. But I don't know what radius you're at now. We could pre-compute fall off as well. That'd be nice. Store that in an array as well. Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice. My. But for now we can't do anything. So to do fall off. Hey, oh, it's assignment I've used. Cool. So here we want to say, depending on how close you are to the edge, like scale down. So if you're greater than 5 pixels away from the edge, well, if you're greater than 5% away from the edge, then you can be at full height. Otherwise, scale. Let's open up Paint and draw this out because I'm hurting my brain, and I'm sure everyone else is also confused. So we got a texture, boom, and then we write to the alpha channel to make something draw, and then we write to the red channel to determine height. And the problem is, if we write red here, then obviously if we've got a side view, we'll end up with something that looks like that, where the red channel's being written to. Which then means you can look in here and see underneath the texture. It's not drawn double-sided, so it looks pretty dumb. So my logic is, if we take the edges of the, like 10% of the texture size, and say that's like a fall-off area, so you can have a maximum height here. You have a maximum height here, so this is bad. No. But then towards the edge, we sort of like fade out. I don't know how to do fade out, so here it would be like pink instead of red. So then you'd end up with this. Wow, that was the worst possible thing I could have done. So something that looks like, why can't I do a downside? Like, oh, that's beautiful, and then inverse. Yeah, so you end up with that, like that. Now obviously what would be ideal is if we could go like that. So am I better off taking a midpoint and saying how far away, but I'm scared that we'll end up with something that's like that. So what's that? Is that like a sine wave? we take the height and yeah, maybe that'd work. Sample it along sine. We get a number between 0 and 1. 0 being the left hand side of the texture, 1 being texture width. And then get sine on that. Obviously that works in 2D. When you start getting into 3D, it's like, I don't even know how to draw that. And then that's down the back side of it. Can you use to X and Y on sine? And then, do you know what, let's give that a go. So, normalized X is gonna be, what do I want? I want a percentage where, oh, this is where I normally get pen and paper. Percentages have always broken my brain, I don't know why. So if X is 0, and then, so let's say it's 256 width, and then we want 0.5 when it's 128. So is it just, I haven't got a calculator button on this keyboard. So it's just that divided by that, right? So a quarter of the way would be 64 divided by 256, which should give me 0.25. Yeah, so it's just X divided by XP divided by actual texture size, and then normalized Y is going to be YP. YP, because if not, you'll get a bladder infection. I don't even know what I'm doing. So the value that I want to write to that pixel no, I've broken my brain again. So like the value I want to write here so that's 1 and that's 0 and like anywhere around the edge is 0, yeah, and then like halfway, which is quarter of a way, I want it to be like a nice curved value. Again, I can see this in 2D, I can't see it in 3D. Like it's giving me a headache. Oh joy. Oh. If I work out the value that I'd have in X and the value that I have in Y, and then just average it. Yeah, so smooth X is equal to and now I've introduced sine again is the problem. And I actually want this in range from what, like 0 to pi? Technically. So that'll give me a 0 to 1, so if I just times them by pi. Floatanize that. Floatanize. I don't like doing on the whatever dies. Let's do that. Yeah, and then smooth Y. That's going to give me a number between 0 and 1. So So then let's just take smoothed change equals sx plus sy divided by 2. Yeah? Oops. Anyone? Someone tell me I'm making sense. I don't think this is maths. I mean, it is maths, but it's not valid maths. That's going to give me a number between 0 and 1. So let's just divide that by 100 for now. Just for ease, we'll start divided by 100 in a minute. Like I want it to be variable driven. So like whatever this is, the mountain strength should scale it. I mean, that definitely didn't work. 100% did not work. Can I see just the red channel on this texture? Is that a thing? Can I do that? No. I mean, it kind of worked. You can see there's a circle. No, it didn't work. Oh, it's because it's incrementative. That's the max value, is what I've calculated. Yeah. And then we increment. Yeah, so I was just incrementing by yeah, that made no sense. Now I'm going to limit it to the highest point that I'm going to allow for that pixel. I think that kind of worked. Didn't it? Is that... That definitely... Holy crap, that's beautiful. I can't believe that worked. Yeah, you can see... I wish you could make these big. But you can see how we smooth out towards the edge. It's not perfect by a long way. But you can see how that's peaky. Yeah? Like, it's not a point, it's a nice... Oh man, I'm buzzing. Still needs edge smoothing. Like, we're still writing too close to the edge. I don't know how to fix that. I hope this would fix that, to be there, because we should be writing 0 at the right at the edge. Yeah, that looks really nice. I wonder if it's to do with the tessellation. I think I can change tessellation on the fly. Oh, I can, but like in here. You can actually get the tessellation pretty low. You can see, like, can you see the edges of the vertices getting added in? But you could probably get that to, I think we were rocking 8, weren't we? The default's 24, which will be super smooth. We're just still grabbing the edges, but if we didn't grab the edges of that, like, you'll be able to see underneath. I think I'm assuming, my problem is I'm assuming a circular texture, where it's not, it's a square texture, obviously. It's a texture. So I need to, I'm taking the outer bound radius rather than the inner bound radius. So like the circle encompasses the square rather than the square encompassing the circle, and then that would work. That is definitely better than when we started today. It runs 40 times faster and it looks twice as good. that's subjective to looking twice as good. It's still broken. Let's flick that guy off, flick this guy on, turn on the bag mover, and let's allow height adjustment. See how we look on, because I've always disabled this on surfaces because it looked a bit shit. Yeah, it still does. You see how you can see under it? It's that I want to fix. That's the problem, isn't it? So I'm setting my raising limitation based on the bounds of the texture, but I'm making individual mound points upon the texture. So I need to set the circle bit based upon the maximum radius of the circle that you're going to be writing. Because it eventually gets there. Yeah, once we've filled in every single bit, you can sort of, let's scale this up so it's easier to see. Where's displacement? That being said, it's yeah. So you can sort of see what I mean there. That the highest point's going to be in the middle of this, because this is one texture, this entire square. So it's going to make a mound that goes like that, rather than making isolated mounding. I also feel like less vertices definitely makes it look smoother now. Like if you just give it a tiny little amount, you can sort of see how that's going up and down. Cool, that's an improvement. I really needed to leave it at 11. It's now 10 past 11. This has gone well. So this is wrong. What I actually mean is radius, and I don't know what radius means. I guess it's size index. That was a random sneeze. Where did that come from? So rather than dividing by texture size, if we divide by size index, let's bump displacement up. Let's leave displacement as and then edit it at runtime. Kind of wobbles now. I just edited the wrong thing. Yeah, that's definitely not worked. Is it size over 2? Or is it size times 2? Oh no, but that's not going to be. Yeah, that's balls. Let's put it back to what it was, and I'm gonna have to call it quits there for today. I'm happy with the outcome though. We've definitely made it faster. It's starting to look nicer. I'll need to work out the maths. Drawing a circle, arbitrary circle on a texture, and then getting a nice smooth mound. The thing is, if there's already some mounding there, what would you do? I guess if you just always do it local to your own circle, then you're okay. I also don't like doing this in this loop. It's only going to affect, well, if I can get it nice, I'd like to have it everywhere, but in theory it's only going to affect the bowl. yeah, I'm trying to work. My brain's just like. I'm trying to work out if we can calculate all the possible. No, we can't calculate all the possible things. Oh no, we could for a circle. We could calculate, yeah. So we it's this size. These are your smoothing points for x and y. So given, oh, can you do it for x and y? Probably. Two-dimensional array. That'd be a three-dimensional array. Next time, we'll investigate making this work by doing localized circles and optimizing this into being pre-calculated values, because it is just a smoothness sort of fall off, so there's no reason we can't do that. If we're doing that, then in theory we could do something similar for the alpha edging. Problem is, if you smoothly fall off on the edge of an alpha and also change the height, then you'll fade out and you'll be able to see under, so you need to bring in the radius of the raising and then have the fall off of the alpha outside of that. Again, something we'll investigate next time. Thanks for joining us today. One follower away from that 50 goal. Hopefully we'll hit that soon. Hope you've had fun. Hope you've maybe learned something, like the any call on the on here somewhere. On here, causing a garbage collection. Who knew? That's why the profiler is good. Everyone should use it. There's also a memory profiler now, I think, and a graphics frame profiler. All very super useful. Check them out. And say if you haven't already followed, give us a follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/SamOatsGames. Be greatly appreciated. Okay, bye.